In this video I will be demonstrating a wire wrap for stone spheres and marbles. I will start with a basic beginner-friendly design and then show you how I make the design a bit more interesting. I am using an 18mm glass marble. My base wire is 0.8mm or 20 gauge. This wire is 12 inches long, but my first wrap was using a larger stone, so I only needed 10 inches for this marble. Mark the centre of the wire. You need something round that will make a loop big enough for the marble to sit in, but not big enough for the marble to fall through. Keep the mark in the middle of the loop as you bend the wire around your object. The diameter for this loop is 9/16 of an inch or 14mm. Where the wires cross over each other, bend them parallel to each other. This is a 15-inch length of 0.4mm or 26 gauge wire. Start with the weaving wire coming up between the two wires. Wrap the weaving wire once around one wire and then once around the other wire. This will anchor the weaving wire. Now I am simply wrapping the weaving wire around both base wires. I have wrapped the wires together for an inch or 2.5 centimeters. Wrap the weaving wire once around each wire individually, finishing with the weaving wire going down between the two base wires. Remove the excess weaving wire. Bend the unwrapped wires outwards. Make a loop the same size as the first. Where the wires cross, bend them parallel. This weaving wire is 0.2mm or 30 gauge. For this marble you will need approximately 40 inches. Find the middle of the weaving wire. Wrap the middle of the weaving wire a couple of times around the base wires below the loop. Use one half of the weaving wire to wrap one base wire and the other half of the weaving wire to wrap the other base wire. Bend at the middle of the wrapped wires so that the loops are on either side, trapping the marble. Separate the two base wires. Bend the wires over the marble towards the other loop. Start wrapping one of the wires. Bend the wire where it meets the wire of the loop. Continue wrapping the wire up to where the wires touch and then wrap twice around both wires. Repeat with the other wire. Continue wrapping the wire, bending it back towards the other loop. Where the wires meet, wrap twice around both wires. Repeat on the other side. Once again, wrap the wire until it meets the wire of the loop and wrap them together. Wrap the wire up to the other loop, but this time when they meet, bend the base wire around into a loop. Trim the wires shorter and continue wrapping. Wrap the wires together. Wrap a few more times around the base wire and cut off the excess. Bend the cut end to close the loop. Repeat with the other wire. This is the basic wrap completed. For this wrap I am using a 20mm fire and ice quartz sphere. The base wire this time is 14 inches. I have already formed the first loop. This time I will be weaving the bail using 16 inches of 0.3mm or 28 gauge wire. Start with the weaving wire coming up between the two base wires. Wrap over the top wire, bringing the weaving wire all the way around to the back to the bottom. Wrap around the bottom wire and down between the two base wires. Now from the bottom, wrap twice around both wires and bring the weaving wire back up between the base wires. Repeat the pattern. Around the top wire, around the bottom wire, twice around both wires. Around the top wire, around the bottom wire, twice around both wires. Continue the weaving pattern until you have woven for 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. I have continued the wrap in exactly the same way as the basic wrap, up to the point where the base wires are wrapped with the loop wire for the first time. I am using some offcuts of 0.8mm wire to add extra decoration to the sides. I am just bending the end of the wire to fit alongside the base wire. I am adding this wire to the base wire where it bends. Weave the new wire to the base wire by wrapping twice around both wires, twice around just one of the wires and repeating. Bend both wires towards the other loop. I am bending the first end of the short wire into a small loop. Before reaching the other loop, separate the wires and bend the short wire inwards where it meets the wire of the loop. Continue wrapping around just the inner wire. Where the wire meets the wire of the loop, wrap twice around both wires. Bend the short wire into a loop. I continue wrapping the wire until reaching a point where I stopped weaving the two wires together. Cut the short wire shorter and make a loop with the cut end. Make sure that the cut end is pushed well down and can't be felt. Continue wrapping the base wire. Just like before, bend the wire when it meets the wire of the loop and wrap both wires together. At this point I am going to add another small piece of wire just like previously. If you wish, you can finish the pendant here by attaching the remaining wire to the loop wire like with this example. For this pendant, I am going to add more decoration to the bail. Bend the wire to follow the bail and wrap the base wire and the loop wire together a few times. I have repeated the process on the other side. You could simply wrap the wires beside the bail, but I have decided to add small beads. Thread each bead onto both the weaving wire and the base wire. When the beads are level with the top of the bail, start bending the wire following the shape of the bail. At the top, wrap the weaving wire around the bail and the beaded wire. Continue adding beads to the bottom of the bail. Bend the wire alongside the wire of the loop and wrap them both together a few times. Wrap a few more times around the single wire and cut off the excess weaving wire. Trim the wire short and bend it in a loop behind the bail. Thank you for watching. Please join me for my next video.